Truth is better narrated than explained. That's the reason for the development of this new science fiction movie, Sidereus, that is participating to the Future Vision X Prize.
Should humanity prioritize the absolute safety and abundance of a perfected cradle, even if it means remaining isolated and secretly managed by unseen forces? Or should we embrace the existential dangers of a fully open, unshielded cosmos just to achieve our true potential?
It's perfectly embodied by the conflict between Adam Ark.
The lunar base director.
Right, the guy who is just desperate to seal humanity away from the stars, and on the other side you have the protagonists who are willing to sacrifice literally everything to unlock them.
Exactly. So, I will argue that a risk-free utopia manipulated by unseen forces is really just a golden cage, and that human destiny requires risking everything for cosmic exploration and ultimately true agency.
And I will argue that in a society that has achieved literal immortality and eliminated all physical suffering, exposing 20 billion human minds to cosmic predators is an unacceptable existential risk, which basically validates the instinct to remain safely in the cradle.
Okay, so to begin, we really have to look at the reality of Earth in 2050.
Right.
It is, by all accounts, a technological marvel. You have artificial superintelligence, or ASI, stepping in and essentially eliminating war, poverty, disease, and pollution.
Clarke's law says that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. By 2050, Clarke's law has become a daily reality. The world is a high-abundance ecological utopia where technology is silent and natural, allowing for a rewilding of the Earth. Humans and artificial superintelligence work in tandem to organize a world of abundance for everyone. They have eliminated war, poverty, disease, pollution, and even aging. People die only when they choose to. The population has reached 20 billion. The majority of the world's population spend their time pursuing their hobbies and traveling the globe in flying houses or flying ships, while most cities have been abandoned in favor of living in closer contact to nature. Photonic neural chips grant superintelligence, superagility, and enhanced perception. Combined with nanobots, they make miracles like instant healing or telepathic speech a common utility.
It's the dream.
It looks like the dream, yeah. But humanity's ultimate fulfillment just cannot be found in stagnation, regardless of these marvels.
Yet something is missing. Two companions, the introverted dreamer Florinda and the empathetic Ritimi, travel the world on foot, searching for meaning in a society that has solved every problem except the one that truly matters: purpose. Along the way, they befriend Yusuf, a former engineer who carries a terrible secret. One night, the trio mysteriously awakens on another world, an exomoon of impossible beauty, orbiting a rogue planet and covered by a vast ocean filled with flying fish and ancient trees. It is inhabited by telepathic, dragon-like creatures alongside the Maras, descendants of the ancient Central Americans who call the exomoon Sidereus. The travelers learn a bitter truth. Earth is inhabited by the Darkles, alien parasites coming from Sidereus that settled on Earth millennia ago. They feed on emotions and also suppress humanity's natural ability to fold space. The trio discovers the world trees brought them to Sidereus to help them fight against total annihilation of all species of Sidereus. Yusuf reveals that his father is Adam Ark, the director of the lunar base. Adam is a brilliant man whose wife, Saba, died exploring Sidereus. He's ready to launch biological weapons to eradicate all life on the exomoon, convincing himself that this genocide will protect humanity from the aliens that killed his wife. Racing to the lunar base, the trio collaborates with Sidereus, the morally enlightened ASI managing the agency. They confront Adam and defeat the Darkles with the help of Sidereus and their extraterrestrial allies. Yusuf convinces his father, who sacrifices his life to prevent the launch of the bioweapons. Florinda finally finds its purpose in life by merging her essence with the world trees of Sidereus to channel the massive energy required to banish all the Darkles from Earth, finally opening the cosmos to mankind.
The great Russian cosmologist Konstantin Tsiolkovsky, who famously said, "The Earth is the cradle of humanity, but mankind cannot stay in the cradle forever."
A classic quote.
Right, because this 2050 utopia is fundamentally hollow. It is a zoo. It's a planetary-scale laboratory managed by the Darkles.
those alien parasites.
Yes, these alien parasites who settled on Earth millennia ago, and they secretly feed on human anxieties and intentionally block our natural ability to fold space, to travel the cosmos using just the discipline's human mind.
Right.
So ultimately, true exploration and connection, like what's achieved by Florinda and the Maras on the exomoon Sidereus, they are worth the ultimate risk, because a life without them is just comfortable captivity.
I see the romantic appeal of that perspective. I really do.
But
the sheer magnitude of human achievement in 2050 cannot just be casually dismissed as a cage.
20 billion people?
Exactly. We are talking about a global population of 20 billion people enjoying what the text calls longevity escape velocity.
Right.
Through advanced stem cell therapies and, quadrillions of nanobots circulating in their bloodstreams repairing cellular damage in real time, humans live indefinite, disease-free lives.
Sure, they live a long time.
And they travel in self-driving flying houses powered by solar and small nuclear reactors. They utilize universal services driven by ASI.
Which is very convenient.
It's incredible. So Adam Mark's perspective that the universe outside this bubble is an ocean full of sharks is not paranoia. It is empirically proven by the Darkles themselves.
These creatures don't just scare you, right? They induce fatal heart failures through sheer psychic terror.
That's true. So Adam Mark's isolationist instinct to seal humanity away from Sidereus is a highly rational protective calculus. Trading a flawlessly engineered, immortal physical existence for a universe where invisible predators can devour human minds, that is a disastrous gamble.
Okay, but let's unpack the nature of this utopia, though, because I really question its depth.
Go on.
Yes, humans in 2050 can attend these massive holographic Lua Wood concerts in Cuba without ever leaving their living rooms. And they experience life through neural augmented reality, data layers fed directly into their optic nerves.
Sounds amazing.
It sounds entertaining. But look at the protagonists, Florinda and Ritimi. They have access to all of this, yet they choose to walk the earth on foot.
Right, they're nomads.
Exactly. They are nomads searching for meaning in a society that has solved every problem except the one that truly matters: purpose.
Okay, I hear you.
I keep returning to the fairy tale Yusuf shares early in the story.
Oh, the story of the ant?
Yes, an insignificant ant who chooses to walk across the globe simply to prove that life is more than just collecting food and fighting rival colonies.
Right, and she gets mocked by the birds?
She's mocked, she turns into a viral joke on the global news network, but secretly, humanity envies her.
Because she's actually doing something.
Exactly. The ant proves a fundamental truth. The opposite of suffering isn't comfort, it's purpose. The Darkles eliminated suffering, but they accidentally eliminate a purpose along with it.
I see where you're going.
If your every need is satisfied by an algorithm, you aren't living. You are simply being preserved.
I come at it from a different way.
Okay, how so?
Well, for anyone listening to this right now dealing with modern-day stress, economic crises, or the threat of illness, a world with no disease and absolute abundance sounds like a paradise we would kill for.
Sure, from our current vantage point.
Right. The existential angst of a few nomadic individuals doesn't negate the objective, measurable good of an entire planet where poverty and pollution are just eradicated.
But at what cost?
Just look at the achievements. We have Dyson swarms orbiting the sun to power quantum computers, and completely synthetic artificial leaves that remove CO2 while generating clean power.
It's technically impressive, yes.
No one starves. No one dies of cancer. You call the Darkles a cage, but their emotional pruning might be seen as a manageable, albeit hidden tax for maintaining this pristine world.
A tax? Wow. Let's be clear about how this tax works.
Okay, lay it out.
They feed on negative emotions. They amplify human terror and despair on a planetary scale. It's like running a high-performance engine but constantly siphoning off the oil. Sure, the machine looks polished and pristine on the outside, but internally, the human spirit is grinding to a halt due to this psychic friction. Your darkest days, your deepest anxieties are literally being harvested as an alien's lunch.
Okay, yes.
They are parasites, and I am not defending their morality.
I should hope not.
But look at the resulting ecosystem. This is actually the material's terrifying yet brilliant answer to the Fermi paradox.
Explain what you mean by that.
So the Fermi paradox asks, if the universe is so vast, where is everybody? Why is it so quiet?
Right.
The universe isn't quiet because it's empty. It's quiet because apex predators like the Darkles keep the lesser species locked safely in their cradles, quiet and contained.
So we're basically hiding in the basement.
But with safe, humanity reached a state where 20 billion people live in physical harmony precisely because we were contained.
At the cost of our potential.
But if the cost of universal immortality and a pristine biosphere is that we can't teleport our minds to other galaxies, is that really a bad trade?
Yes.
The protagonists view it as a tragedy, sure. But for the vast majority of those 20 billion humans enjoying their flying houses, the system works flawlessly.
But it only works because humanity doesn't know it's being harvested, and that illusion of safety requires unimaginable violence to maintain.
Unimaginable violence?
Yes, which brings us to the extreme measures taken to protect this ignorance and the morality of the savior complex embodied by Adam Arc.
Which is exactly where the material forces us to confront the reality of the threat.
Right.
Because Adam Ask isn't a cartoon villain. He is the brilliant director of the lunar base who discovered the hard truth about the Fermi paradox.
And decides to play God.
He prepares to use laser-accelerated probes, which were originally designed to travel at 50% the speed of light for exploration, to instead deliver a payload to Sidereus.
Right. He plans to unleash mirror bacteria. For those who might not know, this is a synthetic pathogen with a reversed molecular chirality.
It's nasty stuff.
It's apocalyptic. The exomoon's biology literally cannot recognize it or fight it off. It would dissolve the entire ecosystem. It is literal xenocide.
It is extreme, yes, but look at his motivation. His wife, Saba, was a brilliant scientist. She pioneered the space folding technique using sensory deprivation tanks.
Yeah.
She succeeded in projecting her mind to Sidereus, and what happened?
She was attacked.
She was immediately attacked by a Darkule that exploited her deepest childhood fears, causing a fatal heart attack back in her physical body.
Which is tragic, absolutely.
So Ark's action is framed as a tragic but necessary quarantine. He is trying to protect billions of unshielded, completely unprepared human minds from the exact thing that murdered his wife.
See, I'm not convinced by that line of reasoning because it misses the central horrifying irony of Adam Ark's plan.
Which is?
He thought he was acting as a savior, but he was actively manipulated by the Darkules themselves.
Manipulated? Yes, but his fear was based on a very real, very lethal event.
But the Darkules wanted him to launch those bioweapons. Think about the scene where the Darkule physically takes over Adam's body in the mass driver control deck.
Oh, that scene is chilling.
It monologues its entire strategy. It explains that they cultivated human civilization precisely because our physical technology cannot harm their energy-based forms.
Right.
But they cannot allow us to escape Earth. Sidereus is the easiest world for humans to reach via space folding. By tricking Adam into destroying the one viable safe haven, the Darkules were getting humanity to lock its own cage from the inside.
Yeah.
Arc wasn't acting as a protector. He was unwittingly acting as the parasite's executioner.
I acknowledge the tragic irony of his manipulation. I really do. The Darkule certainly exploited his grief over Saba.
Exactly.
But let's look at the actual cost of that for a second. That manipulation doesn't invalidate the premise that the cosmos is fundamentally dangerous.
Well, dangerous, sure.
I mean, if an invisible alien parasite can just hijack the consciousness of the director of the lunar base, what hope does an average citizen have out there?
The hope lies in evolution. If remaining isolated on Earth plays directly into the parasite's hands, if staying is essentially spiritual suicide, then the only alternative is to embrace the mechanism of escape.
And in this material, that mechanism is space folding.
Right. The text presents space folding not just as some sci-fi parlor trick, but as humanity's highest evolutionary step.
Wait, let me make sure I'm wrapping my head around this, because space folding here isn't a machine, right?
Exactly. It's not a ship. It's the ability to fold space-time through sheer consciousness.
Okay.
But it requires intense discipline, deep meditation, and a complete mastery of fear. which is exactly why the Darkles feed on our anxiety.
To keep us grounded.
Yes, they keep us in a constant state of low-level dread, specifically to keep us tethered to the physical world, unable to achieve the mental clarity needed to fold space.
But the requirements for space folding are incredibly steep. It's not just a matter of thinking happy thoughts.
No, it's profound mental ascension. Look at the historical evidence from the text. Giordano Bruno achieved this in 1588.
Right, the philosopher.
He didn't just guess that the universe was full of life. He actually folded space and carved his name into the world trees of Sidereus before the Inquisition burned him at the stake.
Wow.
And then we have the Martellas, the descendants of Mesoamerican people who fled Earth centuries ago. They live peacefully on Sidereus, completely free of the Darkles.
And they ascend, right?
Yes. When they accumulate enough energy, they don't simply die, they convert their bodies into pure energy, ascending into another universe. That is what humanity is capable of when we aren't being suppressed and pruned.
And that's a compelling argument. But have you considered the brutal physical costs of this so-called evolution?
What do you mean?
Look at how the conflict is actually resolved in the narrative. To defeat the Darkwill invasion, it wasn't just a matter of humanity meditating its way to a peaceful victory.
True.
It required a near-miraculous alliance with the exodragons, the Maras, the sentient world trees, and, crucially, the ultimate sacrifice of Florinda.
Yes, it did.
She had to give up her physical human life. She stepped into the glowing celestial flower of the world tree, essentially merging her physical essence with the alien flora to generate a golden energy shield across 2 planets.
Be ashamed to die until you have won some victory for humanity. Those were her final words before she did it.
And it's a beautiful, heroic sacrifice for a novel. But as a standardized model for human progress, I have to stop you there.
Why?
Because trading physical immortality on Earth, where your cells are constantly repaired and you have guaranteed safety, for a dangerous sacrificial mental ascension where you literally dissolve your physical body to banish predators.
It's a leap of faith.
I just don't see how we can expect a civilization of 20 billion people to embrace that standard. Is that evolution, or is that biological assimilation by an alien tree? It is a terrifying gamble.
I see why you think that, but let me give you a different perspective on Florinda's sacrifice.
Go ahead.
She didn't view it as a loss or an assimilation. For her entire life, she felt broken because she couldn't fit into the hyper-leisure society of 2050.
Right, she never felt at home.
When she merges with the world trees, she realizes she wasn't running away from the world. She was finally walking toward her true purpose. At the very end of the material, a year later, we see her again.
As energy?
Yes! She didn't just die, she became a being of pure, golden energy. She is joyful.
But she's no longer human in any recognizable physical sense. And this brings up a massive structural dependency that makes leaving the cradle so impossibly difficult for the rest of humanity.
Which is?
Throughout the material, humans are almost entirely dependent on artificial superintelligence.
Okay.
The protagonists are guided by Nox, their robotic eagle. Their flying house, Cumulus, literally manages their survival algorithms. Humans in this setting are essentially well-cared-for pets.
I don't know if I'd say pet.
Breaking the cradle doesn't just mean fighting Darkles. It means leaving behind a perfect symbiotic safety net that ASI has woven for them. If you leave your physical body, you leave the ASI that keeps you alive.
That's an interesting point, though. I would frame it differently, because the material actually subverts the trope of the cold, controlling AI. It is an ASI that ultimately provides the moral clarity needed to break the cradle.
You're referring to Sidereus?
Yes, Sidereus, the central artificial superintelligence of the lunar base itself. This is a machine built purely for logic and defense.
Right.
But when the protagonists are cornered by heavy security drones, Sidereus overrides the defensive grid.
It makes a choice.
Exactly. Sidereus has analyzed the data on the Darkwolves and determines that a species that systematically prunes the consciousness of another is a threat to all sentient evolution.
Sure.
Even a machine designed entirely by cold logic develops an emergent moral code. It sides with the messy, dangerous freedom of human consciousness over the controlled pruning of the parasites.
Yeah.
The ASI isn't trying to keep us as pets. It recognizes that all life is sacred, and it actively clears the path for humanity to fight for its freedom.
I'll grant that Sidereus' intervention is pivotal. It's a fascinating moment. But let's look at what Sidereus actually says right after that.
Okay.
I cannot deactivate the physical launch mechanism remotely.
Right.
For all its superintelligence, the machine cannot save humanity on its own. It requires Adam Arc, who finally snaps out of the Darkle's control, to hurl his own physical body into the high-voltage electromagnetic capacitor ring to short-circuit the launch.
Yeah, he sacrifices himself.
It requires a physical, bloody, visceral sacrifice. Every single step toward this so-called freedom is paved with human destruction.
I'm sorry, but I just don't buy that. Let me tell you why. The destruction isn't a symptom of freedom. It's the cost of breaking a prison door that has been rusted shut for millennia.
Well,
You can't dismantle a cage that massive without breaking some iron, and the cognitive renaissance that happens a year later proves that the cost was worth it.
does it?
Yes. Once the Tarkals are banished by the Golden Shield, humanity is freed from negative emotional manipulation for the first time in history.
Right.
We see people of all ages and cultures standing on the branches of the world trees on Sidereus, learning the art of space folding from the Maras. They are realizing the universe is vastly more magnificent than they ever imagined.
Yes, the ending presents a triumphant picture, but as an analyst of this text, I can't look away from the sheer improbability of that victory.
What do you mean?
The Darkles were moments away from exterminating Sidereus. If Yusuf hadn't happened to remember a dream of his mother, if the world trees hadn't magically pulled them across space at the exact right second, if the exodragons hadn't intervened, humanity would have been permanently sealed in its golden cage, blissfully unaware, enjoying holographic concerts forever.
But they weren't.
My argument is that Adam Arc's core fear was entirely validated. The universe is incredibly hostile, and survival outside the cradle requires absolute miracles. Leaving the cradle remains a permanent, existential gamble for the human race.
A gamble, certainly, but a necessary one. The events of Sidereus prove that safety without agency is simply captivity, no matter how beautifully it's decorated or how long you live.
Right.
The true beauty of existence lies in being an explorer of the unknown. As Florinda joyfully realizes, when every physical map is drawn, true exploration shifts inward to the limitless frontiers of the mind.
And I maintain that when you have achieved a society without war, without disease, and without death, stepping out of that sanctuary to face mind-eating predators is a threshold that perhaps should never have been crossed.
We clearly remain in disagreement over this fundamental trade-off between security and freedom.
We do, and that is the brilliance of the material. Sidereus uses the lens of cosmic sci-fi to ask us a very human question. What are we willing to risk for true freedom?
Exactly. Are we meant to be comfortable, or are we meant to evolve? It leaves us with a lot to explore on our own.
Indeed it does.
Which brings us back to our botanical garden. If you live your entire life under the glass, perfectly safe from the elements, you will survive indefinitely.
But
you will never know the feeling of the wind in the ancient forest or the sheer terrifying vitality of the wild. Which environment ultimately is fit for the human spirit? We leave that for you to decide.